Good morning. My name is Andy Bolton. I am the hearing officer in today's proceedings. This is a hybrid hearing being held in person in the main conference room of the State Building Codes Division at 1535 Edgewater Street Northwest in Salem, Oregon, and virtually over Zoom. This hearing is being recorded to maintain a permanent record. Today is Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. The time is approximately 9:30. This is the time and place set for a public rulemaking hearing to take public comment on amendments to OAR 918-305-0005, 918-305-0100, 918-306-0005, which collectively will be adopting the 2023 Oregon Electrical Specialty Code. Notice for today's hearing was filed with the Secretary of State's office on June 29th, 2023, and was published in the July 2023 Oregon Bulletin. This hearing will be conducted according to the Oregon Administrative Procedures Act, ORS Chapter 183, and the Attorney General's Model Rules. The division will review issues raised during the public hearing and will consider all written and oral submissions. No responses to questions will be made at this time. In addition to the opportunity to present oral comments at the hearing, anyone may submit written comments until Friday, July 28th, 2023 at 5 p.m., which is the close of the public comment period. No other comments or exhibits will be accepted after this date unless the division extends the public comment period for everyone. Before beginning your testimony, please state your name and affiliation with an organization, if any, for the record. If you have written comments, please provide them to me so that they may be properly marked as exhibits and made part of the record. I see that we have a few folks signed up to provide testimony today. I'll start by working through the list of folks signed up here in the room, and then I'll work through the folks that have signed up in the Zoom. All right, first up is Peter Greenberg.
My name is Peter Greenberg. Over the last 13 years, my solar company's installed about 45,000 solar panels in Oregon. Previously, I was a paramedic firefighter for 11 years in Corvallis and Albany. Basically, what I'm here for is legislation mandating rapid shutdown units in solar systems, which basically a safety item designed to make the solar system safer. It doesn't appear that that's true anymore. I've had too many failures with these devices, and there's the code started in 2019. It was a 2017 code. Oregon waited 2 years to adopt it because there wasn't many products out. But basically, having electronics underneath the solar panel is a very tough environment. It's hot, it's cold, it's freezing, high humidity, low humidity, and it's expected to last for 25 years or the life of the solar system at least. And it's tough to get to the devices. It's tough to replace them. If there's a problem, it's tough to find out where the problem is. So basically, I would like to see the code change to not mandate the rapid shutdown devices. Before this code came into effect, we used string inverters, which change DC made by the solar panels to AC, and basically had insignificant issues. And the solar industry did that for a few decades. And that's what's mostly done around the world. And putting these devices under solar panels, there's a problem with the devices themselves failing. And then there's different connectors, male and female pop together, and different manufacturers, even though they claim they're compatible, they're actually, that's not a UL tested term. So there's problems with the connectors. But in my case, all the connectors on the solar panels were the same as what's on these devices. So that really can't be at fault. But with these devices, you really can't tell if there's an issue until it happens. I have a device here that's failing with bubbling, but you really can't tell unless you go out to the site and measure everything. And then when something does drastic happen, it looks like this. And we had a fire at the Boys and Girls Club in Corvallis, and it was on their new part of their building, and the old part of the building had a solar system we put in 10 years ago with the old central inverters with none of this equipment, and it's been operating fine for a decade. So I could read on and on, but basically these devices are failing and will fail, and you know there's insignificant statistics. We just have there's just been really no fires to speak of, you know, maybe 100 a year as compared to 18,000 with fireworks. And you know, of those, perhaps 100, there's not good data saying, you know, this part was screwing up or that part was screwing up. If you have a small fire, most fire departments don't have forensic capability to really say, you know, it was this component. You know, they could say it started in this area. So I think what this code is doing is actually making things less safe. Looking at it from a firefighter standpoint, one must assume that any electrical fire in a solar system, none of the safety equipment works. You can't rely on something in a fire, and you just have to treat the fire as such. Stand back, hit it with water from a distance, and you're safe. Nobody in their right mind is going to wander into a field of solar panels and try to extinguish it. There's new products from Australia that it's a water-based latex type stuff you spray on, and instantly it covers the panels with a thin black film, stops all the electricity, and it would be significantly cheaper and more practical and work a lot better to just buy every fire department engine in the state that material than to put $1,000 worth of these under somebody's house, under their panels in the house per house. But basically I've had maybe 6 fail out of 3,000. So that's 1 out of 500. You put 20 in a house, it's 1 of every 30 houses. It's not good statistics. My testimonies, I gave it, emailed it in. You know, it ends with the 2 main companies that push this legislation. Their stock's gone up very significantly since this legislation started. And I think they just did a very good job of selling the fire service that this was actually a safety concern, which it really wasn't. And we just haven't had many fires in solar systems, and their devices are going to cause more problems than the issue we weren't solving. That's pretty much it. Any questions or anything? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Okay. Next up, I have on the Zoom, Helen Higgins signed up.
All right, good morning. My name is Helen Higgins. I'm the CEO for the Boys and Girls Club of Corvallis. I'm testifying today because our teen center had a solar panel fire on Saturday, June 17th, that burned up about 14 of our panels and burned a portion of the flat roof of our 4-year new teen center building. So thankfully the fire started in the daylight, and thankfully a passerby thought to call 911. And to add insult to injury, the club is losing energy credits every day as we look to, because we had to disable the entire system until we can determine the cause and then look at how to replace the system safely. So I'm not here with any technical expertise, but what I do know is that we have another 100 kilowatt system on our 26-year-old building that has been in place since 2013, as Peter just said. And we've not had any issues with the function or the safety of that installation over the last 10 years. But our newer system that was installed just 3 years ago this month, we had what could have been a catastrophic fire on our building. The one big difference in those 2 installations, from what I am learning, was the rapid shutdown unit requirement. So I just want to thank you for bringing in experts in the field like Peter Greenberg and others who have a lot of installation and maintenance experience. And I think that they've really been studying this issue because, you know, Peter's business does not want to be responsible for roof fires on tops of Boys and Girls Clubs. So I'm hopeful that through this process, requirements will be adjusted to reduce the potential for fires like we experienced. We really have enjoyed the benefit of our solar system because it's been really nice to not have to fundraise to pay for a power bill and to be able to focus those dollars to provide a safe place for youth during out of school time. So I just want to thank you and thank you for the work that you're doing on this.
Thanks, Helen. Yes, come on back up, Peter.
Peter Greenberg again. One thing I just wanted to add that I didn't read in my speech. Basically, we have about 3,000 of these devices that we've installed. And, you know, the code says you got to do that or other types of devices. It's always been my philosophy that you really want the least amount of electronics in a difficult to reach place. And, you know, the least amount of parts gives you the least chance of failing, in my mind. You know, really nothing is better than anything up on the roof. It's easy to replace a string inverter on a wall. It's tough to get back on a roof and replace things under solar panels. But in the state, there was 6,000 of these devices sold last year by two of the main distributors. I don't know how many went out of state or stayed in state. I bought all mine from out of state. So, you know, there might be 20,000 of these in use. Who knows how many? You know, let's just say everybody agrees these aren't a good idea. If we had to take out those 3,000 and replace it with a different system, that would be about $800,000 in materials, which nobody could afford to pay and do. You know, what we really want is just to get rid of these things from the solar panels, go back to what we were before this code, which was just a string inverter. And, you know, it would be a lot safer. And, you know, it might cost me $100,000, but, you know, we could do that, but nobody's going to take out their system, start all over again. So that's all.
Thank you. That is everyone we have signed up, but I want to give an opportunity. There's a few more folks I see that have joined the meeting. I just want to give an opportunity if anybody who hasn't signed up yet wants to testify. Now's the time. Feel free to drop your name in the chat. Okay, not seeing anybody. I just want to remind everyone that written testimony will be accepted until Friday, July 28th, 2023 at 5 p.m. No other comments or exhibits will be accepted after this date. The time is approximately 9:43 a.m. Thank you for attending today's hearing and providing comments. This concludes the public hearing. All right, good morning. We're actually going to reopen our public hearing for the Oregon Electrical Specialty Code. We have one more person here to testify, and I'm going to hand it off to him. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and if you have any organizational affiliation that applies, go ahead and cite that as well. Thank you.
My name is Vincent McClellan. I'm with Energy Design out of Eugene, Oregon, and I'm primarily a solar contractor. And we have been having issues with the state mandated, federally mandated rapid shutdown devices, module level rapid shutdown devices that are supposed to protect firefighters in the event of a fire on a building so that they can come up to a building and push a button that we install on the outside of the building, which will turn off each individual solar panel on a building at the module level or panel level and make it safe for that firefighter to then go on the roof or do whatever they need to do. And instead of that happening, what we're seeing is potential fires from that same device. We've had to replace a number of these devices. You can see, I don't know if they can see or not, but that they're actually melting. And we believe that there's fires happening in Oregon because of these devices. And we would like to petition the state to review the necessity of this device and its safety. And what we believe is it's actually putting the public and firefighters at hazard rather than what it's supposed to do, which is protect the public and firefighters. And as a business owner and an employer, I am concerned for my employees' long-term jobs if this becomes more of a problem. We installed these devices that came out of a system outside of Eugene in 2020. So these are only 3 years old and we're already seeing problems with them. And I believe that, of course, electronics as they age have more problems rather than less. I think we're seeing the tip of the iceberg on what can be a potential problem for these devices. And would like to see some type of a state review of devices. I mean, literally there's thousands and thousands of these on rooftops all over Oregon right now. And what we're seeing to begin with is the devices failing in the closed position. So it's a switch, basically a solid state switch that's kept open or is kept closed by a power line communication over the DC wiring of the solar panel's output. And that keeps the switch closed until we push the button that releases that signal going back up to the roof to the devices. And then it's supposed to open. So technically these should fail open. So the switch should be open and not let the power from the solar panel go through to the inverter. What we're seeing instead is they're failing closed and causing full voltage from the system, from the series string of panels that these are connected to go back to the inverter. And we see that before we see this, the meltdown of the unit and its potential fire. I'll close my comments. I appreciate you taking the time to reopen. And sorry I'm late. I literally had to go in circles trying to find the place. My maps program had me trying to find a street that didn't exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. And with that, we're going to reclose the public hearing for the Oregon Electrical Specialty Code.
Thank you much. I really appreciate it.